Hey everyone, thanks for clicking into today's video. It's time for the April Fragrance Awards. If you are newer to the channel, this is an opportunity for me to share with you many of the fragrances that I wore over the past month, not all, and I put them into these made up award categories just for entertainment and perfume conversation. I will start off with both my scent of the day today, which isn't in a specific category, and I wanted to share my lipstick. I'll put the other makeup details down in the description box, but this lipstick needs a moment and a shout out and it is from MAC. It's called Lady Danger. It's part of the Maximal Matte Lipstick line. Look at that color. That is so fun. Now, this is a really bright, warm, almost orangey, but not quite. Because to me, it has like both orange and blue undertones, which is really interesting. So it's warm and cool at the same time, but a little bit more warm to go with the look that I have on. And then I'm trying out all of the, not all, excuse me, some of the new YSL Love Nude Kiss Shaper Sculpting Lip Liners. Is that a name or what? So these are new, and I picked up about three in the Sephora sale. Today's color is 109 Sienna Rebel, and that is what the color looks like. So one of the things I wanted to pick up during the Sephora sale were more warm toned lip liners or lip liners that could go with warm toned looks because I have a ton of lip liners and most of them tend to lean on the cool side. So while this isn't exactly warm, it's sort of neutral. It has sort of a warm lean, even though it's neutral. Anyway, so I like it for that nice, easy lip liner to apply, very sort of creamy, but it's staying put and it provided a nice backdrop for this fiery Lady Danger color. Then my scent of the day is a top recommendation for Mother's Day. If you're the kind of person that likes to gift new fragrances for Mother's Day, it's a big tradition in my family dating back decades and decades. So anyway, scent of the day is the new J'adore Intense. This is a beautiful fragrance. I joked around when it first released saying, do we need yet another flanker of J'adore? And the answer is yes, we needed this one. I have J'adore Lore in today's lineup, which is also beautiful and a great scent choice for Mother's Day or any sort of special occasion. This is one that I fell in love with when I tested it in Sephora in the high heat of very humid Orlando, Florida. So imagine what it smells like in more temperate weather or cooler weather. This is a honeyed floral. Main floral notes are jasmine, rose, and ylang ylang. And there's sort of a honeyed ribbon running through this, not cloying, overwhelming, or thick. It is a very thin layer of honey sort of infused into the floral composition. This is really interesting to me, especially because the fragrance comes across both cool and crisp and kind of standoffish, but it also has warm tones to it. So it's a nice combination of both of those extremes of what florals can smell like. It's giving me fresh yet refined and sophisticated for spring. I find this to be on the mature side while having a youthful edge to it and a spring summer edge to it. So this is a beautiful recommendation. J'adore Intense. Then the other thing that I wanted to give you an update on, I promised many months ago that I'd come back and talk about Future Society's Optimal Habitat. Love this little bottle. This is a layer that you're supposed to put down on your skin that kind of enhances the natural biome of your skin and allows fragrances to supposedly last longer. I don't really understand the chemistry behind it and whether that is an accurate claim. I can tell you I've gone through most of the bottle and will probably finish this up probably in early May here. I've been using it quite a bit as the weather has warmed up. And I've really, you all been using this more as a moisturizer than anything else. It doesn't have any scent to it and it sinks into the skin quite nicely. It's almost like a serum that I have used just on my hands and arms for the most part, a little bit here on the chest area. And then I have other skincare that I do, for my face and neck and so forth. And so I can't say that this has had any effect on longevity of fragrances that I have noticed. And so if you look at something like this, I would say think about it more as a moisturizer. If you have used this and you have seen results from it or experienced results, let us know. So that's the update on that. In the category of best for the season, we are talking about April in Virginia, which can be all over the place. The top of the month was a little bit cool. And then as we get further into the month, we get the sort of summer days starting to peek through late spring, summer days. So I'm picking something that is fresh and clean, yet substantial enough to hold its own on days that are maybe a little cooler and or cooler at night. This is fantastic if you haven't tried this yet and you like crisp, clean, linear scents. This is Sublime from Tory Burch. This is the Eau de Parfum version. There is a new EDT version out that I have not tried. This could have been in the best bottle category because it is rather unique as a bottle and it's got the Tory Burch raised symbol here on the dome top. the chrome dome. How about that for a rhyme? This is fantastic. If you like the smell of new car, the way that leather smells clean, fresh off the factory, there's that background in here, like a fresh leather smell. And on top of that, there's a crisp woodiness and some citrus notes are the primary factors here, the primary features of this fragrance. And so when you think of leather, a lot of people tend to think of it as heavy and animalic and all of that. Not at all. It's almost like a springtime, fresh, crisp leather that translates very upscale, posh, a super sophisticated scent. I will tell you, follow me here. This is like this. If you like Barenia from Hermes, this smells nothing like that. But if you think about the vibe, the sophisticated vibe that Barenia has, and you think about that as like a winter scent, this could be like a spring cousin in terms of the way that it makes you feel when you put it on. Great longevity, beautiful sillage, attention getting and compliment getting fragrance. And it's unique. It's a different offering out on the market. And I really enjoy this bottle as well. The travel sprays come like this too with the cute little top on it. If you want to try it out and see if it floats your boat, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Let me know if you try it out. Then in the category of everyday fragrance, I usually try to pick something that is an easy reach and is typically on the clean side, or there's something about it that's not fussy. It's an easygoing fragrance. So this is on the very sort of sophisticated end of easy reach fragrances, and that is Yin Transformation from the Harmonist. This fragrance very much feels clean. It's almost soapy, creamy. Perhaps some people find it milky. I find it to be a little bit thicker on the creamier, lotiony side in terms of like the scent texture of it. There is a clean, fresh musk in the base. It feels refreshing and spa-like. It's a combination of white and yellow florals. It has iris too, so it's a combination of all different kinds of florals. It smells most to me as though 724 from Maison Francis Kurkdjian had a creamy cousin that was trying to be a little bit more on the spa side and subdued and infused with more musk. I love that 724 as like a favorite clean scent that is creamy. This one has that same sort of feel to it, that sort of slip. You know, when you put on lotion, there's different consistency of lotion, and there's some that just glides so nicely over the skin and sinks in quickly. This is that kind of scent texture in perfume form that slip gives you on your skin with a nice lotion. There's also sandalwood in the base as well to give this a little bit of like anchoring. So really fantastic, fresh scent that feels very put together and clean, fresh out of the shower, but also slightly perfumey and floral as well. Yin Transformation, fantastic. And then for special occasion, I always have a hard time describing this. I'll do my best yet again, and that is Amouage Lineage in the beautiful turquoisey bottle here. This is so amazing as a fragrance. There is frankincense, myrrh, pepper, and I forget what else. Honestly, because all of those notes sort of fade away to me, and I smell fresh, clean, beautiful spa oils with an incensey vibe without smelling smoky. And at the same time, there is this sort of supreme cleanliness to this fragrance. It's as though it's been scrubbed down with cleansers from heaven or something. It's so hard for me to describe that a fragrance can both smell like dense, beautiful, incensey spa oils and smell completely clean, fresh, and divine all at the same time. One of the more unique fragrances in my collection, an easy reach in the sense that it always smells good on me. I always get complimented by my family. I always feel like I've elevated myself for the day by putting this on as sort of a final step. And you can both wear this casually, but if you wanted to be the most dressed up casual person in the room, right? And you can also take it the complete opposite extreme into ballroom setting, special occasion setting, fancy fundraiser where you're wearing your sequin gown occasion and stand out from the crowd. Amazing longevity and projection on this as well. A few sprays, anything more than that, and you will find yourself suffocated and suffocating people around you, but amazing fragrance. In the category of sexiest is one of my current favorite Flormond fragrances. So florals and kind of gourmand aspects mushed together in one beautiful concoction. This is lovingly and jokingly called the baby maker in my house because it gives you those kind of vibes, if you know what I mean. This is Flower Bomb Extreme from Viktor and Rolf. I love the original as well and a number of the other flankers that I have. But this one, oh, this is so beautiful. The opening of this has a lovely raspberry infused note, and that kind of sort of stays to the mid, and then it takes a back seat to the florals and the vanilla. I love that this is heavy on the vanilla as compared to the original, which has perhaps a little bit more patchouli and I think some woody aspects, if I remember correctly. This one is decidedly more feminine and has a sort of a sweet, supple softness to it from that vanilla bean base, upon which the florals sit. And it's rose and jasmine, and then, like I said, the raspberry opening to it. So the overall effect is this highly feminine, soft, and super pretty, supple fragrance. There's a robustness to this when you put it on. It can go all 4 seasons though. Like this is something I would be very comfortable wearing in the heat of summer, worn lightly and perhaps in air conditioning, right? Where I wasn't going to be in 100-degree weather or anything, but it goes through all of the seasons and it's fantastic. And this nudie pinky bottle is just so precious to me. In the category of biggest surprise is one of the Sephora sale pickups. This one came in and out of stock several times. And it was the kind of thing where, like, when it came back in stock, you better have added it to cart and checked out right away, or it was going to be gone again. This was a hot commodity, Ripe from Henry Rose. I already commented on the name Ripe in another video and how that reminds me of the slang term used when someone stinks and you tell them you smell ripe, like you're funky and you need to go shower. So I'm not loving the name on this, but I do. This is my first Henry Rose fragrance. I have tried a bunch of them, and there's some really nice ones in the lineup. But I appreciate the sort of unique nature and shape of the bottle. I like that. And this fragrance has been compared to L'Eau d'Issey, like that same kind of 90s style, aquatic, fruity floral vibe. And I agree. So the L'Eau d'Issey, if you've tried that one, or I still have it in my collection, it has a lot more sort of airiness and muskiness to this. This one doesn't have quite that sense of fluffiness that L'Eau d'Issey has. So the primary features of this fragrance that I think were of interest to people is that it's what has a watermelon note. And you do get the watermelon note quite well in here. I wouldn't say that it is a super realistic watermelon. Like, listen, I've been trying to find a proper watermelon fragrance for years and I have given up. I have tried very many. Like, if you drop a name down in the comment, like, oh, have you tried this? Probably yes. I have probably tried it, and it just doesn't scratch that itch of the way that a fresh, ripe watermelon smells when you cut into it and you get that real sort of sugary, watery, airy, divine smell. I mean, like, there's nothing else like a fresh watermelon smell. You do get a watermelon here, and there's this sort of candied aspect that sits alongside it. There's lychee in the fragrance. There are different kinds of florals, rose, peony, and this has a woody, musky base to it. So I would call this musky with a floral on top of that and sort of a top note aspect of watermelon and something sugared and slightly tart. And it works in here. It's a very pretty fragrance, a very easy wear. It's fun, it's playful. Is it going to win any awards for artistic creation of the year? No. But then, I'm not necessarily looking for the most artistic fragrance. If you want that, go get yourself Lineage. This is a powerhouse in that category. This one is an easy reach, fruity, musky, clean floral smell. It's got an ozonic, airy nature to it, not quite like L'Odyssey. I will also say for those of you that are in the age range to have smelled New West by Aramis, that is discontinued. I think the men's is still in production, but the women's was discontinued. And I don't remember the why of that. I have looked for it secondhand, and the prices that people are charging, the gouging on that is just outrageous. If you have come across a fragrance that smells like New West, let me know down in the comments. I'd be willing to try something new. Anyway, Ripe is a big surprise because I wasn't expecting to enjoy it as much. I did order it because, curiosity got the best of me. There was a lot of hype around it. And I sprayed it on and I was pleasantly surprised and got compliments on it here in my house. Decent lasting power. This is one that you may go nose blind to. So just be aware of that. I had some people say, hey, it doesn't last on me more than an hour. And I didn't have that experience. To me, it lasted quite a bit of time. So, Ripe. And then my favorite blind buy, and this was actually a blind buy that was delivered to the home in early April, if I remember correctly. This is from, I think the line is called the Alchemist line from Gucci. My first one from the line, I've looked at a bunch of them and I'm interested in a bunch of them, but this is Tears from the Moon. I believe I heard Xena at Xena Fumes, I believe is the name of her channel, talk about this one and a few others. So Xena, I'm blaming you for the other ones that I buy from this line. And she had me especially intrigued with Tears from the Moon. I love that this has this sort of apricot-y, osmanthus-y kind of smell that's both sweet and melon-like. Like you think about cantaloupe and honeydew and apricot. Like if you cut all of that up, mixed it up in a little fruit bowl, sprinkled a little sugar water or sugar over it and put some sugar water in it, then you have a base of what I would consider to be a fairly suede easygoing leather. That's just such a nice grounding feature of this. I wouldn't necessarily call it a straight up leather fragrance, but there's definitely a noticeable feminine, suede, soft leather, like a squishy leather in the background that I think is delightful. But the main feature is that fuzzy stone fruit plus melony smell that I really, really enjoy in this. This was delightful. It's got an edge of maturity to it and sophistication and would do well in all seasons and especially in fall and winter. Tears from the Moon. Long lasting as well. In the category of not a safe blind buy, but a fragrance that I am on my second bottle of and don't want to be without because I find it especially unique in my collection. This is Cannabis Santal from Fresh. Santal just means sandalwood. This has patchouli in the base and sandalwood. There's a cocoa note and supposedly a rose note. Sometimes I pick up a little rose, and most of the time I don't. I find this to be a really mysterious fragrance. I always joke around that it reminds me of like a scene like Catwoman in a leather suit riding a motorcycle through the mountains of who knows where, chasing the bad guy down. This is like a badass fragrance. There's something really special about this, mysterious and unique. It comes across both aromatic and unisex and like mysterious. And I really enjoy it. It makes me want to lean in closer to sniff more. Worth trying out. And a heads up that it doesn't have a cap on it. This is just how it comes. The atomizer is right there in the cap. And I say that because I'm always trying to pull it off and it's just how it is. So I could really douse myself in this. If I don't have a lot of like body care products, I'm not the person that has like a ton of oils and a ton of lotions and all that. I have some lotions. I use mainly bar soap in the shower and occasional like is it called rain bath from Neutrogena kind of shower gel. If this had a shower gel and it had a lotion and who knows what other products, I would probably buy them because it's such an interesting, intriguing, mysterious smell to me. In the hidden gem category, I considered putting this in the favorite bottle or best bottle category as well, because there's something about the frostiness of this that really appeals to me. This is Vanilla Salt from Ellis Brooklyn. I mean, there's just like such a simple elegance to the Brooklyn bottles, and in particular, this frosty nature. This gives me a very spring beachy vibe without smelling anything like sunblock or any of those kinds of coconutty, tropical floral summer fragrances. This is away from that, far from that, but it does have a very soft, airy vanilla base. There's a saltiness to this. And I kept thinking as I was putting this list together, like, why is it so hard to describe to people what salt or salt note in fragrances smells like? And the best that I could come up with was, and this isn't even going to be helpful, but it smells like gauze to me. Like medical gauze, when you take it out of the package and you're using it to pack a wound or something like that, the smell, the texture, the way that gauze feels, and it has a sort of unique smell that's not in the Band-Aid direction, it's sort of its own smell. Imagine if gauze could be salty and then it smells like that in terms of like the texture that it adds into the fragrance. Very bizarre way of explaining it, but that's the best that I could come up with. This also has musk and some woody notes in the base. It's supposed to have whipped cream. I can see something like that. Like there's an airy, like a whipped infused nature to this scent. It's almost like a lovely vanilla perfume has been lightened up, literally made lighter in terms of like the denseness and the texture of it because it was infused with air, was pumped in with air and like a salty, gauzy nature to it. And it just works. It's a really, really pretty fragrance. I enjoy wearing it. I find it to be unique. It does give me like a nostalgic sense. Like I imagine being seaside on a day that was like there were wispy clouds, but the sun was shining through. So you knew it was going to eventually be a beautiful sunny day. But you have to get through the sort of fogginess of the morning with the sun coming through, something like that. I really enjoy this. In the clean but cozy or cozy but clean category, I have Powder Love from Juliet Has a Gun. This is one that could have been a favorite blind buy as well. In fact, it might have been in that category in a previous video, like a monthly video. This one has cotton candy and marshmallow, orange blossom, candied almond, musk, ambrox, and tonka bean. The net effect here is as though I have cotton candy, that is not quite as sweet as cotton candy, but something about the way that it's wispy and the texture of it. Imagine like a powdery cotton candy texture to a fragrance infused with some fruity notes. It almost reminds me of like when you open a packet of Kool-Aid or any other kind of like powdered drink that you would put into water and mix it. The way that that powder smells, there's something like that happening here with a musky, fluffy, powdery, cottony base to it. And I really like this. It has nice projection and nice longevity. And another one that is a compliment getter in my house. So the next category is It Girl, although this could have been maybe in Best Bottle. It could have also been in a Hollywood Glam bottle because it's all of that. And maybe even special occasion, and that is Destin from Balmain. So it's in the It Girl category because a lot of people are talking about this. It's a new release. So you know how that is. It can be all the rage. The bottle is unique and different, and I appreciate the effort put into the design of this. This reminds me so much of late 80s, early 90s powerhouse floral patchouli fragrances, yet made modern. Kind of like I talk about again, Barenia from Hermes being a modernized version of a patchouli fruity fragrance. Here we have star notes of strawberry, which a lot of people pick up right away. There is this sort of lovely, perfumey, artificial strawberry sweetness that just works. And I say artificial in a good way. You know, a natural strawberry actually doesn't smell that terribly sweet. Even really ripened strawberries just have a lightly sweet smell. So to get that sort of fantasy sweetness of strawberry, it has to smell a little bit artificial in a perfume. Anyway, strawberry, peony, patchouli, musk. And the net result is like a distinctly robust, beautiful, floral, fruity fragrance with a patchouli base. And I think it just works. It feels warm, it feels luscious. There's sort of a goldenness to this fragrance, a sweetness, a delightfully grown femininity to it that I think is quite fantastic. So I can see why it's getting all the rave and rage, why it is all the rage and getting all the rave. It does have a lovely projection and it has nice longevity. I find this to be especially strong. A few sprays of this seems to project really far and go a long way in the day, even though you might become nose blind to it. People can smell this on you well into the day. In the category of best comeback, which is, it can be a number of different things, but in this case, it's a fragrance that I haven't worn in a long time, but that I claim all the time that I love so much. And it's been giving me the side eye because I've been choosing others in this category before it. I have forsaken it for all other cherry fragrances. And it really is among my favorite cherry fragrances. This is the, sort of OG cherry fragrance that broke Fragcom when it first released, and that is Lost Cherry from Tom Ford. I think this is still one of the best cherries out on the market. People complain about Tom Ford pricing. I get it. They complain about the longevity of this. I get that too. It's not the longest lasting. Although I will say, as I have had this more, it has lasted longer and longer. And for me, for this fragrance, I can spray it on in the morning. I do have to spray pretty heavily. It does last me at this point through at least a workday. So I'm still smelling it, although faintly, around 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon as I'm starting to sort of wind down my workday and be thinking about moving away from my desk. There's bitter almond, black cherry, cherry liqueur, sour cherry, cinnamon, cloves, tonka bean, vanilla, patchouli. It's quite the arrangement of notes in here. But to me, it comes across as a beautiful, delicious, pure cherry note with this softness from what I perceive to be like an almondy tonka bean type of combined accord that gives this sort of soft edge. I find this to be feminine leaning, although I know a lot of gentlemen enjoy this fragrance as well. So, best comeback because this one was like, you've been cheating on me with other cherry fragrances, but you know you love me the most. So, yeah. Then my most complimented fragrance. I am surprised by this. It is My Devotion from Dolce& and Gabbana. I like this so much that I wore it twice this month. I wore both the full bottle and then the travel spray that I took with me on travel. So this is proof positive that even though you think a fragrance has faded on you, other people may still smell it, but you have gone nose blind to it. I typically will think that about this fragrance at about the 3 or 4 hour mark. Like I stopped picking it up at that point, but other people can still smell it on me. I wore this to 2 different work events and got noticed with it on. Like people thought I smelled nice. And in the airport, going through the security line, I'm, flying through the security line. There's a gentleman probably 20 paces behind me or so, and he yelled out to me, "You smell so good." And I was shocked to the point where I turned around and I said, "You talking to me?" He said, "Yeah," New Jersey, like, type of, gangster accent. "Yeah, you smell really good." I said, "Well, I don't know why I did this. Do you ever tell people what you're wearing when they say you smell good? It's almost like you feel obligated to say what it is, and you don't have to," but I was like, "It's called My Devotion from Dolce& and Gabbana," and he was like, "Yeah, okay, you smell good." Like, he could not care less what the name of the thing was. He just wanted to make sure I knew I smelled good. Anyway, it is a creamy, delightful, very soft, feminine, almost like a dainty floral fragrance. The florals in here are pear blossom, peony, and orange blossom. There's vanilla and other sort of woody-ish, slightly musky notes in the base. But I would also say that this feels quite creamy and delightful. It's almost like if you could turn a peony note into a creamsicle. It's like a peony creamsicle to me. And I think it's lovely, like a lotiony peony creamsicle. And it smells how the bottle looks and it's delightful. So this was a good buy, a good blind buy. Did I blind buy it? Because I think I had the travel spray first. Whatever. Most complimented fragrance. Here you go. And then in the mood booster category, I don't always have something for this category, but I always talk about this fragrance like if you pumped it through the atmosphere in a war zone. People might have to stop and hug each other because it smells so dang good. It is a very happy fragrance to me. It is Valentino Donna Born in Roma Green Stravaganza. What a freaking name. Gee whiz. Ooh, so pretty. There's a tea note that other people pick up distinctly as a tea note. To me, there's just something like an interesting, almost like a flower bomb esque nature. Maybe that's the connection because flower bomb has a tea note too. I hadn't thought about that. It doesn't smell like flower bomb, but perhaps the tea aspects of both show up. It shows up the same in here. But the other two featured notes are jasmine and vanilla. First spray it on. The opening is kind of like this euphoric, delightful, happy smell. It's like laughing gas for the nose. It's weird that it's green, but I'm not complaining. Maybe that refers to the tea aspect of it. I don't really know, but this is one that I really, really enjoy. So now is the Hollywood glam category, and there were several like Destin that could have been in here, but I'm gonna go with the new Gucci Bloom Ambrosia D'Oro. Another great choice for like a Mother's Day fragrance because it has this beautiful, big, white floral, classic, gorgeous smell. You do have to enjoy tuberose to get into this. It's sort of a cleaner, thinner, fresher smelling tuberose as though the plant has just sort of bloomed and is starting to release its fragrant nature out into the world rather than a tuberose that feels overly suffocating or mature. A very pretty girl fragrance, and you just smell fresh and garden like with this on. So it reminds me of beautiful, long, flowing, curly hair and lovely dresses from old movies, like old black and white movies where the woman looks completely glamorous. You can tell she's wearing red lipstick even though it's a black and white movie, and she's got sort of a what's called a bodycon dress where it's form fitting, it conforms, body conforming dress to her shape, and she's shapely like Marilyn Monroe shapely, not shapey. So that's Gucci Bloom Ambrosia Dodo, the new one in the line. And then I do have a low fragrance of the month. I don't have it here with me. It is L'Imperatrice Royale, the newer one that comes in the darker pink bottle. I had a travel spray and wore that into one of the theme parks in Orlando. I remember thinking that although it's like a nice, tart, fruity, woody fragrance, it just didn't quite float my boat enough to be thinking about a full bottle. So while I like this fragrance and I think it's fine for someone that likes that kind of profile, I found myself thinking, I'm glad I didn't get a full bottle of this and just stuck to a travel spray. The primary fruity note is cranberry, which is interesting. And then in the medium category is a fragrance that I have really tried to love. I recognize that it's beautiful and it's from a house that I adore and have tried almost all of the fragrances from and own a lot from. And I've always been slightly iffy on this one. Like, I know you're pretty. It's kind of like, you know what this is? Okay, let me tell you what it is and then we'll talk about it. It's Healy from Whittian. So a number of peers here in Fragcom have gone wild, mad over this fragrance. They consider it to be a really sophisticated tropical floral fragrance. And I can see those aspects of it. What this reminds me of is I'm sure you have known situations where a couple is dating and perhaps the guy thinks that the girl is really beautiful, but he's just not that into her despite her beauty. And so he ends up breaking up with her. So it's like he got together with her because she's pretty, and he can't stop staring at her, and yet he's just not that into her, and it finally dawns on him that he's not, and he lets her go. That's kinda how I feel about Healy. This is, if I remember correctly, coconut, some other creamy kind of aspects, tuberose, and perhaps other florals. and it's fairly indistinct to me after that. So I've worn this at this point probably 4 different times since I've gotten it. I mean, you can see I was really trying with it, y'all. I was really trying. It's down to here, right? Anyway, I just don't think we're meant to be, but I can appreciate that it's beautiful. So what should I do with this? Should I put this on Mercari? Do you think people would be interested in a bottle that's, that used up? I never know. Okay, beautiful bottle, right? I thought about passing it along to my daughter and her college friends, but I think it's a little mature for them. There's a lot happening here, but I'll talk about the middle notes. Tiare flower, ylang-ylang, tuberose, jasmine, coconut milk in the base, vanilla, sandalwood, amber, cedar, patchouli, tobacco leaf. A lot going on. It is very long lasting. By the way, my husband did not necessarily enjoy on me either, and so this will be leaving the premises. And I'm not sure if I want to keep this next one or not. I'll tell you what happened. Want to hear a story? Here goes. I'm a Bond number 9 fanatic. They make some of the most amazing floral fragrances in my opinion. Very mass appealing fragrances that are great for spring and summer and some other powerhouses for fall and winter as well. But I have a bunch. So this is Chelsea Flowers, okay, with the cute pink top on it. This has primary florals of peony, hyacinth, magnolia, tulip, and rose in the fragrance. And then there is a sandalwoody, musky base to it. This smells very much like floral laundry. I've worn this now probably maybe 4 times, and I've liked it in the past. I can't say that it has been a love, but it has been one that I recommend as a clean, laundry-esque scent. And even here, I'm getting that. And I kept thinking on the day that I was wearing it, this is a nice, clean smelling fragrance. I'm sure someone will love this, but I'd rather be smelling some of the other clean, musky scents that I've been enjoying, maybe just a tad more. It was one of those situations. And so I recently posted a clean perfumes video. There's some examples in there. And I will be posting, I think this weekend, a favorite musk fragrance video. Those only 5 videos I've been doing. And so I kept thinking, wow, I enjoy this and I like it. I think I might rather have one of those on. I don't know if that's sort of like a seasonal thing for me. Reason, season, lifetime. With friends, I think about the same thing with perfumes. Sometimes perfumes come into our lives for a reason. Sometimes it's a season and sometimes it's a lifetime. I'm not sure if this is just having a seasonal out of my mind rotation and maybe it'll come back in. So I'm not sure what to do, if I want to put this on Mercari or just let it sit a little bit more, maybe like revisit it in the summer sometime. So that's Chelsea Flowers from Bond number 9. A thumbs up, but not quite as high as maybe the other ones that I have, that I'm like, I have that recency bias where I'm wanting to reach for some of the more newer acquisitions in my collection before this one in this same scent category. So I'm gonna put you aside for a while and we're gonna maybe revisit you, but it might end up on Mercari. I don't know. So in the top fragrances category, I have 3, and I have to start off with Acne Studios from Frederick Mall. I resisted this one for the longest time because it got so much hype when it was first released. So I decided to get a travel spray recently from Scent Split. By the way, if you're not familiar with Scent Split, they do some really great options for decants and travel sprays from like 2 milliliter. I think they have 1 mils, but I don't ever get those because they're like dabbers. We don't do dabbers over here. 2 mils all the way up to like a 10 ml travel spray of something if you're not ready to commit to a full bottle. And you can use Veronica 10 for a discount. That's my affiliate code. Anyway, this was one of the perfumes that I was dreaming of wearing, perhaps over Chelsea Flowers. I don't know, y'all. I got to think about this Chelsea Flowers because it was hard for me to acquire. And now that I have it, I'm like, do I want to let you go? Okay, back to Acne Studios. Very clean, nearly creamy, kind of sort of faintly candied, aldehydic, thunderously, thickly, beautifully clean fragrance. I wore this to another work event and I felt so put together. I felt all the way dapper wearing this walking into the room because I didn't feel like I smelled perfumey. And I didn't feel like I was going to assault anyone with my smell. But if you came into my scent bubble, I hope people thought that I just smelled clean and fresh. No one commented on this. No one said a word. I hugged a lot of people. But that happens sometimes in work events, unless there's something that's, distinct and different and noticeable, like my devotion or something else. Anyway, I like this a lot. I thought it lasted the whole day. I wore it on the plane going into the event for the day. And I put it on early in the morning and it lasted me through about 8 or 9 at night when I finally stopped thinking about smelling fragrances. It is gorgeous. I love it. So clean, so fresh, so creamy, like a silky creaminess to it with just a hint of like a candied nature. Like, I don't think anybody would smell this and think, oh, it has a sweet candied nature. I'm just picking that up in the far background here. All right, let me move on. One that I picked up in my own last So Avant-Garde sale, which was in February. I had tried this a while back, thought it was pretty, and kind of put it out of my mind. It's like a Barbie doll, pretty kind of fragrance. Picked it up and then wore this, and I was like, oh, I officially understand what all the hype is about because I do a lot of sampling. Maybe you do too. And it's very easy to be dismissive when you're sampling something, especially if you're trying a bunch at the same time. You're like, yeah, that's pretty, move it along. But when you wear it, then you can't deny that Pink Me Up from Atelier des Ors is gorgeous. This could have also been in the best bottle category. It's got like this little ombre effect where it's a little more like purpley magenta on top, pinky in the middle, and down to like nearly clear, soft, translucent pink on the bottom. Now that I'm smelling this, the opening features of this kind of sort of remind me slightly of Ripe, which is interesting. There's no watermelon note here. The opening is bergamot and orange blossom. There is blackberry, rose, and champagne in the middle, and then musk, patchouli, and iris in the base. So a lot of people have pointed out like the fizzy champagne nature of this, and I would have to agree that there is something like that, a little effervescent, very fruit truly to me. What I mean by that is both the fruity aspects of this shine through. There's actually floral in here to me as well. Rose is a primary floral that shines through. It plays so nicely the fruity aspect alongside the co-star of Rose, all in this sort of effervescent vat of deliciousness. And it's got a nice substantial patchouli base to it. Like this ain't no punk fragrance, okay? And it projects a lot and it lasts forever. This is one of those thunderous fragrances where if you overspray yourself, you're gonna have regrets and people around you are gonna maybe think you smell a little much. But if you spray just right, like medium amount of sprays or even lightly, this is delightfully feminine, beautiful, but has the base from the patchouli and the musk. So I'm pretty happy with this purchase. I thought it smelled really pretty. Husband complimented me on it. We're happy with this one. And then finally, the last fragrance that I'll talk about in this video is Herba Gold from Xerjoff. Is it me or are people not paying attention to Xerjoff anymore? It was like all the rage a few years ago where people were collecting every Xerjoff under the sun. And now it seems like only the Torino line gets any attention from Xerjoff. I don't know. So this is a musk bomb. For those of you that are averse to musk or you're very sensitive to strong musks, it is strongly musky. So I just want to share that. But I do appreciate that this has some fresh fruitiness at the opening and in the middle and even into the dry down. And to me, it smells like a melon bowl in the summer. Like you have cut up, we talk about whatever other fragrance it was smelling like apricots and melons and something else cut up. This is like your melon and honeydew and maybe citrus all combined together in a fresh summer salad bowl. Okay. Like your salad is the fruit. It's mixed up and cut up and maybe sprinkled with a little tiny bit of sugar. This is like sunshine in a bottle because of that. So imagine that fruit bowl backed by a pretty substantial musk. And then deep into the dry down, there's a woodiness as well, some vanilla that shows up. But the primary features of this are that like fresh fruit and citrus nature. It can be fun and fresh and airy on the initial wear, and deeper into the dry down, it gets a little bit heavier and more substantial. But it very much reminds me of early spring and like the happiness of frolicking through fields or something like that in a sundress. It's fresh, it's bright, it's sunny, and it's quite delicious and a powerhouse of a fragrance. So that, my friends, is the April Fragrance Awards. I hope you enjoyed. Before you go, let me know what your favorite, very top favorite fragrance of April was down in the comments. Thank you for hanging out with me this long, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.